The state auditor's office now presenting new findings after North Dakota lawmakers requested an investigation. This all started earlier this year when we discovered the Attorney General's office had run up a bill of more than $1.8 million. Now, this was under Wayne Stenjum. Joel Crane has that report.
This building is the focus of the state auditor's report, which discovered hundreds of thousands of dollars in question costs or improper charges associated with the $1.8 million cost overrun by the Attorney General's office.
The end result for the Attorney General's office, the building space. In short, the office has 2,600 square feet less than the prior office spaces they rented, but their out-of-pocket cost on a monthly basis is more. They are locked into this current lease for a period of 10 years.
One of the concerns raised by the auditor's office was the role played by Bismarck Representative Jason Doctor, who approached the AG's office several years ago to discuss leasing at the building he planned to purchase.
This was the first time that a lease was signed prior to an owner actually obtaining financing.
After securing the lease, Frontier Contracting, which is co-owned by Doctor, was found to have questionable costs by charging for services already provided by other subcontractors, or by providing vague invoices for services and materials provided, according to the auditor's report. But Representative Doctor says there was nothing inappropriate about his behavior.
I've always said I'm a taxpayer first. I do have a problem if these leases are a lot higher than what the market value is. And this current lease that the state Attorney General's has is in market value.
Representative Doctor and Frontier Contracting plan to compile a report of their own that they believe will demonstrate no wrongdoing.
The legislature turned that report over to the Attorney General's office to conduct an investigation. Attorney General Drew Wrigley says he'll find an independent agency again to conduct that investigation. Up next, Minnesota scientists make an exciting discovery that could be a first for this state. We've got that story right after the break.